Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome at the English news program here at Ora News. And now, tonight's news. The board of the Central Bank of Albania will meet tomorrow in order to discuss and decide the fates of the governor of the Central Bank and the other members of the board. Reliable sources confirmed for Ora News that an urgent meeting is expected to be held on Thursday in the Central Bank. Sources stated that most likely the meeting will be focused on the responsibilities of the governor and those of the members of the Supervisory Council. During the meeting, the high officials of the bank are also expected to focus on a general analysis of the operations of the bank, with the purpose of identifying the violations and all those related to the theft of about 713 million lek in the highest financial department in the country. This meeting comes after the pressure made from several members of politics and public opinion. Do të shkojmë në një lidhje të drejtë për drejtë me nënkryetarin e bashkisë Eno Bozdo.
Një akt shumë i rëndë ka ndodhur sot. 5 punonjës së Bashkisë Tiranës janë rëmbyer sot nga policia e Tiranës dhe mbahen ende në mënyrë të jashtëligjshme dhe kundër çdo norme të shtetit ligjor në qelitë e komisariatit nr. 3. Punëtorët e drejtorisë përgjithshme nr. 2 të punëtorëve të kryeqytetit ishin përgatitur për të filluar punën për ndërtimin e një nyje të re semaforike në një zonë Tiranës, si kërkesë e vetë banorëve të zonës. Pikërisht për të mos lejuar këtë investim, sepse binte ndesh me interesat personale të një individi, biznesmen i kësaj zone, policia ka rrëmbyer pas një tagër ligjor dhe në thyrje flagrante të drejtave të njerëzit punonjësit e Bashkisë Tiranë. Individin fjalë për cilin shumë shpejt do të bëjmë të ditur një dosje të plotë, sipas të dhënave që vinë në mënyrë konfidenciale nga policia e Tiranës, i ka telefonuar kryeministrit dhe ky i fundit për të mos t'i prishur qefin mikut të tij, ka urdhëruar personalisht strukturat drejtuese të komisariatit nr. 3 që të ndërhyjnë dhe të marrin peng punonjësit e bashkisë. Kjo ndodhje denjë vetëm për një vend totalitar. Tregon shumë se si ka pushuar se ekzistuari shteti ligjor në Shqipëri. Se si interesat klienteliste dhe lidhjet e shkurtra me Edi Ramën mundsojnë që qytetarët të lirë dhe në punën e tyre të rrëmbehen dhe të mbahen në qeli pa asnjë shkak, në shkelje të plotë të drejtave të njerëzit. I kujtojmë drejtorit të policisë Tiranë, drejtuesve të komisariatit nr. 3, se rrëmbimi i personit përbën një vepër shumë të rëndë penale dhe se kushdo që është i përfshirë në këtë çështje do të paditet penalisht. I bëjmë thirrje prokurorit përgjithshëm zotit Adriatik Llalla të ndërhyjë sa më parë me forcën e ligjit dhe të vërë përpara përgjegjësisë plot ata që janë përgjegjës, fajtor, të urdhëruar dhe urdhërues të kësaj ngjarje shumë të rëndë. I bëjmë thirrje përfaqësive të huaja diplomatike në Tiranë, ambasadës së Shtetit Bashkuar të Amerikës, ambasadës Bashkimit Evropian, OSBE-s, shoqatave për mbrojtjen e të drejtave të njerëzit, Komitetit Shqiptar të Helsinkit, të regjistrojnë këtë akt të paprecedent dhe të reagojnë me forcë ndaj këtij regjimi totalitar që po instalohet në Shqipëri. Faleminderit.
Ishim në këtë lidhje të drejtë për drejtë nga Bashkia e Tiranës, ku kemi ndjekur nënkryetarin e saj Eno Bozdo. We were live in this direct connection with the Vice Mayor of Tirana, who talked and accused the police of Tirana about the kidnapping, as he called, of 5 employees of the municipality. We will now continue with the information about the meeting, which will be attended tomorrow from the board of the Central Bank of Albania. This meeting comes after the pressure made from several members of politics and public opinion. Some members of politics have stated that the supervisory board is responsible about this scandal and not the governor, while others think the opposition is expected to create several debates since the opinions of the members of supervisory council have been different. After the statement of the head of the Security Commission, Spartak Braho, one of the members of the Supervisory Council, Ermelinda Meksi, implied that the only one responsible for this scandal is the governor, Ardian Fulani, and not the council. Braho had earlier stated that the members of the Supervisory Council are the ones responsible for the scandal and that the governor has no legal responsibility to resign. According to Meksi, the governor and vice-governors are full-time employees at the Bank of Albania as administrators and are responsible for the bank with executive assignments, while the other members of the Supervisory Board do not have executive tasks. Also, Meksi said that the resignation of the Council of Members will not resolve the situation. According to her, this would put the central monetary institution in bigger problems, leaving it without the necessary quorum to make important decisions, which, considering the current situation, are necessary. The prosecution of Tirana has revealed many interesting details through system teams, which can also lead to the possible destination of the money stolen from the treasury of the Central Bank of Albania. Sources from the investigation team have confirmed to Ora News that during the last 6 months, the perpetrator of the theft of 713 million lek from the Bank of Albania, Ardian Bitraj, has traveled 3 times abroad. Sources from the investigative group stated that most likely large amounts of money were played in a casino in Greece. But what's more shocking to the investigators is the fact that in 6 months, the director of Bitraj, Dorian Çollaku, has broken a record regarding the number of times traveling abroad. Sources have confirmed to Ora News that according to investigations, the former director of the Treasury in the Central Bank of Albania has traveled abroad about 30 times in just 6 months. Sources said that TIM's system has reached many interesting conclusions, which say that Greece was Çollaku's and Bitraj's favorite destination, but it turns out that the former director of the Treasury has frequently visited Italy, Austria, and France. All these facts are considered by the investigators as suspicious, but they need even more data to fully uncover the spectacular robbery of the Central Albanian Bank. With this new information, investigators are now trying to find out all the movements of Çollaku and Bitraj in order to verify their actions in these countries. Furthermore, sources stated that Bitraj, and most likely even Çollaku, were frequent customers of a well-known casino in Greece, but it has not yet been confirmed that they have played a large amount of money in this casino. The information may lead the inquiries in a fascinating way to learn about the destination of billions of Albanian lek. The political debate between the President of the Albanian Republic, Bujar Nishani, and the majority continues to be active. The President of the Republic of Albania, Nishani, used the law for the School of Magistrates to start the debate with the majority, while the political war continued with the answers of Prime Minister Edi Rama in Facebook. This week, the debate is expected to intensify as the head of state has in his hands a list of bills that are expected to be returned to the parliament for reconsideration. Ora News sources stated that the president holds a different opinion from the majority regarding 4 very important law proposals, which were approved at the end of the parliamentary session. The president, with his decrees, where he will give detailed arguments, will require the Assembly to reconsider the new administrative and territorial reform, which was approved in the absence of the Democratic Party. Another bill that the President will return to the Parliament is the one regarding the High Council of Justice. Another law that is qualified as unacceptable by the President is that of the state police. Although this law raised numerous debates among the majority, being subject to numerous changes, the Bureau of Investigation is estimated to increase the powers of prosecution, and for this reason, the President will request the change of some articles. And finally, the agreement of the government with CES is also unacceptable by the President, so he decided to return it to the Parliament. The agreement of the Albanian government that gives CES about $95 million for the closure of international arbitration brought debates in Albanian politics, being considered corrupted and in violation of the interests of citizens. The start of the new parliamentary session in September will confront in the Assembly the President and the majority. Analysts expect debates to be on top of the agenda, since the decrees have been consistently considered as based on poor judgments by the President of the Republic. Three victims in 3 different locations were registered in the interval of 12 hours along the highway Lach-Fushkruj. This morning, Anton Leshi, 19 years old, who ran a vehicle type Peugeot, was killed. The vehicle, driven by the 19-year-old boy, lost control and crashed. The young man lost his life, while the passenger, also the brother of the victim, Petrit Leshi, 50 years, received injuries on the body, but he is out of danger of his life. Police verifications show that the vehicle was at a very high speed at the time of the accident, which caused the driver to lose control. Meanwhile, in the midnight hours, another accident happened in the axis where Alfred Gini, 26 years old, was killed. He was traveling as a passenger in the vehicle that was led by Eduard Ciacconi, 28 years old, from Laci, who remained injured. Another person who was traveling in this vehicle, Armando Ciacconi, remained injured. The injured were urgently sent to the Hospital of Trauma in Tirana, but the doctors could not do anything for Alfred Gini, who had passed away. Meanwhile, in the south of the country, in Kakavia, Girocastra axis, in a place called Sofratic, a vehicle with Greek plates that was directed by Grigol Magalara, 51 years, from Virsera of Girocastra, crashed the pedestrian, 40 years old, from Libohova. Consequently, the 40-year-old woman remained seriously injured and was transported by helicopter to Tirana. But as a result of severe injuries, the woman could not survive and died in the hospital. Police arrested the driver and is now investigating to find the real causes of the accident. A 23-year-old woman has accused a brother in the police department of Berat for abusing with her. According to the 23-year-old girl, her brother, 31 years old, has abused with her in several cases. The serious event occurred in the apartment where they both live in the village Kutali of Berat. The victim, in the presence of a psychologist, testified to the police the numerous cases of rape by her brother. The 31-year-old man was immediately arrested by the police, and after the police controlled in the apartment, two guns, Model 56 and 350 cartridges were found and seized. The boy is recognized as a person with criminal records, having been previously convicted in Spain with 5 years in prison for narcotics trafficking. Meanwhile, in Shkodra, police announced that it has initiated criminal proceedings and has declared the citizen EB, 19 years old, as wanted because he is accused of committing sexual intercourse with a minor citizen in the beach of Velipoja. Two masked gunmen dressed with police uniforms have robbed the jewelry store Chaku in the neighborhood Ros of Shkodra. The incident occurred around 1:30 p.m. and it is learned that the two looters had managed to get 2 gold plates and escape. The fake police officers have been on a motorcycle dressed with police uniforms and they were also armed. In the moment after they robbed the jewelry store, being under the pressure of the ambulant merchants who were around there and of the owners of the jewelry store, the robbers shot in the air, and while attempting to leave, they faced difficulties with the ignition of the motorbike. The jewelry store is located at the junction of the neighborhood Rus, one of the most populated areas in Shkodra, where usually police forces are present. Eyewitnesses say that the police has been very close to the robbers when they could not start their motorbike, but they did not react on time. Then, a police and an inspector of crime have been in the pursuit of the robbers, only after the alarm of the ambulant merchants. The jewelry store has been the target of robbers even in 13th of November 2012, where the owner, Mithat Chaku and Rujdi Chaku, clashed with the looters, and where consequently Mithat Chaku remained slightly wounded. The director of the county police, Shaban Neji, immediately arrived at the scene and is now working for the arrest of the robbers. The Democratic Party has reacted today regarding the statement made yesterday from the General Director of the State Police, Artan Didi. Media coordinator of the Democratic Party, Sylvie Bardi, said that the General Director of State Police tried to compensate the absence of government with a media propaganda outlet for the major successes in safety and security. But ironically, the robbery and the disarming of the police officer in Shkodra put the achievements down. For the Democratic Party, the robbery and disarming of policemen in broad daylight is a real indicator of the deteriorating conditions of the order and the collapse of the authority of the state police. The General Director of State Police yesterday tried to compensate the lack of government with a media propaganda outlet for major successes in safety and security. But while the first counter of the votes for the Socialist Party was reading the figures which do not convince even himself, the news from Shkodra put all the achievements down. A policeman was robbed, he was taken all the money and the service weapon at a time that the first counter of the votes of the Socialist Party, Artan Didi, was announcing the result of his work. And a few days ago, another policeman in Tirana was disarmed and robbed in broad daylight. The robbery and disarm of the police in the middle of the day is a real indicator of the deteriorating condition of the order and the collapse of the authority of the state police because of its politicization and the mass removal of professionals, concluded Bardi. In a reaction in social network, Prime Minister Edi Rama said that the statements of the Democratic Party helped the criminals. Continuous attacks against the state police are a moral support for crime, wrote Rama. The General Director of the National Employment Office, Gens Koydeli, a day after the allegations made by the Prime Minister for the functioning of the employment offices, reacted in a press release held in the premises of the Employment Office in Tirana. Giving explanations for the first 6 months of 2014, Koydeli noted that in the period from January to July 2014, a fund of $2.7 million was disbursed to promote employment, which is 3 times higher than last year. He further added that 345 businesses applied in 2014, 5 times more than last year, and more than 3,000 unemployed people are now employed. Meanwhile, Koydeli, during his speech, said that the Employment Office and the National Employment Service have no jurisdiction regarding the employment of citizens in public administration, but it is focused on mediation of job vacancies of private businesses. In this context, he said that the opening of the 8 employment offices in Albania has no burden to the state budget because they are made with the contribution of private businesses. The municipality of Tirana has reacted after the accusations of the director of the National Employment Office, Genci Koydeli, who stated that the municipality of Tirana has not provided any new job in the last 4 months. In a statement to the media, the municipality says that the political attack against the institution does not cover the inefficiency of Edi Rama and his government that have plunged the country into poverty and unemployment. The municipality of Tirana refers to the statistics and says that in 3 years it was able to stimulate the opening of about 25,000 new jobs. Thousands more will be opened with strategic investments like the boulevard, the tram, and the terminal that Edi Rama blocked. The only service that the government has provided to the citizens of Tirana, says the municipality, is the blocking of the budget, blocking of investments, blocking of the houses, and blocking of the cemetery. The deputy of the Democratic Party, Helidon Bushati, has released a media statement to accuse the publication of the admission fees at public universities. According to the Democratic Party, there are 12,000 less quotas than a year ago. The shortening of the admission quota in universities is one of the shocks of Edi Rama to education, and it comes in a moment when for a year he has not made any investment in educational infrastructure. He has not kept the promise to increase the Excellence Fund, or to increase education budget up to 5%, said Bushati. Also, Bushati said that with the new quotas, Edi Rama interrupted the dreams about the future of 12,000 young men and women, and this is a hostile against this generation, quite the opposite of the empty propaganda that the Prime Minister and his people made to young people. The agreement of the government of Albania with the Czech company ČEZ was still today in the focus of the Democratic Party. The former Vice Minister of Energy, Eno Bosto, said that the Albanians are the ones who will suffer the consequences of this corrupt deal with the increase of energy prices. Every Albanian citizen accept their problems from now on, they will have a payment more to do. And it's because of the firm of Edi Rama, without transparency on an illegal and anti-Albanian deal that not only forgives to the Czech company $3 billion of damage and debts, but gives it up to 95 million euro, which will be paid by all of us. But there is more. Albanians should know that sooner or later, and it is only a matter of time, the price of electricity will rise. It will grow despite that we have already paid ČEZ to not rise the prices. It will increase because the majority has decided to forgive ČEZ everything, the abuses, the accepted debt, causing damage to the financial interest of Albania and Albanians. Following this agreement, the price of energy will increase, and the Albanians should know the reason, said Bozdo. The Democratic Party denounced again the Prime Minister Edi Rama, who is not lazy to comment on anything and everything, and surprisingly passes this shameful affair only with a statement on Twitter. Democratic Party insists that it will continue to strongly attack this affair to the public as the mega theft of the century and hurting Albania and the Albanians. The Democratic Party has once again reacted today about the incident happened nearly a month ago in the headquarters of the parliament against the member Gens Strazimiri. The Democratic member of the parliament, Kreshnik Cholatu, said at a press conference that the silence of Edi Rama is becoming just as criminal as the act of eating and threatening the opposition in parliament. According to him, the more this silence deepens, the more Edi Rama is equally incriminated as his deputy, sentenced to 7 years in prison for prostitution, trafficking in aggravated circumstances, and kidnapping. For 34 days, not a single word is said by Edi Rama regarding the physical attack and threatening of the representatives of the Democratic Party by his teams of violence installed in the assembly. The worst events in 23 years of political history, which left no other choice to the opposition unless to terminate its relations with parliament to avoid bloodshed and dark scenarios. For 34 days, he makes the defendant, closes his eyes for the file of Arben Doka that has shaken all Albanians, but still there is no reaction from the Prime Minister. Edi Rama will fail in his attempt. Through silence, he intends to leave the severe events in limbo or to make them look normal. Cholatu stressed that the Democratic Party does not agree with the criminalization of the assembly, with the capture of offices and institutions by bandits. Every day, we will do transparency for the highest interest of the Albanian citizens. The court session of 40 suspected men who are suspected of participating in the fights in Syria and Iraq as part of ISIS and al-Nusra terrorist organizations has ended. The jury has decided to keep the defendants in detention for another 48 hours until there's a verdict today or on Thursday to remand them in custody or not. Defense lawyers say that their clients have pleaded innocent, while 4 or 5 of them have admitted that they have been part of the Liberation Army of Syria, an army which, according to them, is not considered to be a terrorist army. According to them, all of yesterday's and today's events are a mere show where no incriminating evidence against them was found. Lawyer Besnik Berisha said during the hearing that there were great deficiencies on the part of the prosecution. Prosecution finally admitted that it could not secure adequate evidence to back its claims on the defendants, said Berisha. Meanwhile, Kosovo continues to have a lack of legal framework against terrorism, although the arrested men are suspected of having connections with terrorist groups and organizations. Although there's a bill which prohibits the participation in armed conflicts outside the territory of the country, this document has not managed to become a law due to the dispersion of the Parliament of Kosovo. Based on this bill, all of those who organize, recruit, or train people or groups of people with the aim of participating in the efforts of a foreign army or police force will receive a prison sentence from 5 to 15 years. United States Ambassador in Kosovo, Tracy Ann Jacobson, hopes that the new Parliament of Kosovo will approve the new law against terrorism. In terms of the fight against terrorism, I hope that the new Parliament will promptly pass the law on foreign warriors, which the previous Parliament has approved in principle. This is important for the safety of Kosovo, said Ambassador Jacobson. And that was the news prepared for today. Have a great evening. See you tomorrow. Good night.